So, updates on the Sean Diddy Combs criminal and civil cases. I haven't had a chance to do any of these updates in a few days, really. But it seems that what's new is the lawyers for Mr. Combs have asked for a release from jail, right? They want bail so that he can prepare for trial. I believe his lawyer, Alexandria Shapiro, is basically saying that there's new evidence that has been found to refute some of the government's or slash prosecution's, allegations that Mr. Combs and his girlfriend Cassie, that day that he beat her up in the hotel lobby, that it was one of his freak-offs that was going on at the time. Apparently, they have new evidence to refute that. They say that there was no freak-off that day. These people were in an 11-year relationship, and some parts of it were toxic and violent, and that they were, together as girlfriend and boyfriend at the hotel. It had nothing to do with a freak off, and there's new evidence to show this. And so they want him to be released on bail because otherwise, from that video of Cassie being beaten up by the defendant, that the government's case is threadbare. That they're basically saying that the government doesn't really have a case. It's a very it's a nothing burger type of case. And in any event, that their client should be released on bail so that he could help with his defense. We know that Mr. Combs is still in that detention facility in Brooklyn, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And he has pleaded guilty to all of the charges. And we also know that the the prosecution has threatened to level a superseding indictment on the defendant, which is interesting because they had a grand jury hearing a couple of weeks ago, and still there has been no superseding indictment since they've been threatening that, and they've been threatening that for about 2 months at this point. So one has to wonder, where is the superseding indictment? What's taking so long? And what is the nature of it? And who will be the co-defendants once that superseding indictment drops, if it ever drops? So we have that going on with the bail hearing. I believe that a decision should come down on that any day. Now, we also have some issues with a gag order. The defendant had asked for a gag order. I believe one gag order has already been denied pretty much. I don't know if there's a new gag order, but they had asked for a gag order, and the courts basically denied the defendant's request. The defendant was arguing that, having all these potential witnesses, giving statements to the press and so on and so forth was impeding his right to a fair trial. Apparently, the judge did not agree. I believe his girlfriend, Cassie, also filed an official statement or motion to object to his request for a gag order. And as I said, so far the judge has not granted any gag orders. I'm not aware if there are any pending motions for additional requests for gag orders, right? We know that some guy last week who was a grand jury witness, and he claims to have tapes of the defendant as well as a manuscript from the defendant's ex-girlfriend, that all go to the apparent guilt of the defendant. He was a grand jury witness, and he gave some interviews to the press, and they were seeking to shut him down. I don't know if that was part of this denial or if that's a new gag order that's still pending. So where we are now is that the defendants are saying that, the defendants are saying that the government's case, the prosecution's case, is threadbare and that the defendant should be released on bail. What's really weird to me is the fact that with this superseding indictment that it's taking so long, A, and B, that no mention has yet been made by the government and the prosecution of all these minors. Apparently, there are all these minors, people under the age of 10 and 12, 10-year-olds, for example, who allegedly were assaulted by the defendant, right? How come the government and the prosecution has not mentioned that in any of their indictments? Because it would seem to me that that would be the most explosive aspect of this case. And that would, for me personally, justify A, keeping him locked up without bail, and B, yeah, locking him up and throwing away the key if he assaulted all of these minors or if he assaulted even one minor. What concerns me is the fact that the prosecution has not mentioned any of these minors, right? This is weird, right? Because you would assume that that would be the minors would be the star witnesses and not necessarily Cassie, even though Cassie was domestically violated by this man with that beatdown. Clearly domestic violence, clearly inappropriate, but not so clear that it's racketeering, not so clear that it's sex trafficking, not so clear that it's transportation to commit prostitution or whatever else the government charged. But if we have him assaulting minors, as was alleged in many of the civil lawsuits, curiously, all civil lawsuits seeking millions of dollars, and no one bringing a criminal charge for him assaulting minors. For me, this is a red flag. This is a red flag. And I just think a lot of these people are trying to extract money rather than seek justice for genuine criminal acts perpetrated against them. But that's just how it seems to me at this point. Let's see, maybe as soon as I'm done talking, the government will drop a superseding indictment with these minors that have been alleging, they've been assaulted. A lot of these cases, the civil cases anyway, apparently they are going to be witnesses for the prosecution. And it just all seems so weird, accusing the defendant of assaulting them at Macy's. One guy said he assaulted him at Macy's. I mean, it's just it's absurd in a way. And this other one filed $100 million lawsuit. Something happened on the roadways, like on the streets, and is he saying he was assaulted on the streets? I don't know. It's also very weird. I think that if all of these things are true, certainly don't give him bail, lock him up and throw away the key. But don't just give me bare allegations. Show me some evidence. Show me some proof. Make sense. Make sense of this because this is not making sense. Where is the superseding indictment? Why hasn't the prosecution mentioned anything about these 10-year-olds? I think these would be even more explosive than what he did to his girlfriend in that hotel. Meanwhile, his children continue to support him, and they have been getting a lot of criticism from many in the social media zeitgeist. I don't have a big problem with children supporting their father. Clearly, from a lot of images that have been shown of him with his children, he had a relationship with his children even before all of these allegations. He seems like he has been an involved father. You see many photographs of them, candid photographs, throughout the years. So he is there as their father. And if they want to highlight their relationship with their father to counteract some of this stuff that's being said about their father, that's their father. I don't have a big problem with that at all. Whether he's guilty or he's innocent, he has a constitutional right to defend himself. And his children, I mean, they don't need a constitution to defend their father. I mean, this is their dad, right? This is their dad. Now, so that's it. So now we have more than 24 civil suits pending against the defendant. And we have got, a bail hearing that's pending. We have got, I think, a gag order motion that's pending. I think there's another one, but I could be wrong with that. And yeah, we've got still a May trial date unless there is a superseding indictment, which might push the trial date further back because now you have new defendants, right? Because if you have a conspiracy, I mean, racketeering is a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. You can't conspire by yourself. You have to conspire with other people, at least one other person. So for them to bring a racketeering conspiracy case against this defendant, but they don't have another defendant. For me, this is also a red flag. There are many red flags, and there are many reasons that I agree so far with the defense that this is a threadbare indictment. Excuse me. This is a threadbare indictment that needs to be beefed up a lot by the prosecution. So hopefully they're going to drop a superseding indictment really soon to give us some meat on this case, right? Give us some other defendants, give us some other charges. Talk to us about all of these minors that this man assaulted. It wasn't just one, it's quite a few of them. And I suspect as the months roll on, a few more will come forward. So let's get some actual evidence. Let's get some actual meat on the bones of this indictment. If all we have is that videotape of him assaulting his girlfriend Cassie, and you're bringing a racketeering charge against this guy, I mean, I don't know. I don't see, I'm not seeing it, But then again, I'm not an expert on any of this, so don't quote me on any of this, you guys. I think that's all for this one, though. I don't think there's anything else I want to say about this case. For now, anyway, if I hear anything new, I will certainly do a new video. Thanks for listening. If you're not yet subscribed, do think of subscribing to the channel. Help support the channel. Help me grow the channel. And yeah, the notification bell is very important. If you don't hit the notification bell, you will never know that I made a new video. And so, again, it helps the channel to have you come back and listen to more. So, yeah, see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.